So thank you all for coming. The first step to awareness is going to these events. A lot of people don't realize that by not getting information or the lack of information is a lot of times the things that actually get you hurt. Because when you don't know, you don't know. You're walking around, things happen. What do you do next? Where do you go? Who do you call? Karen, can you see out? You can shift over a little bit. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure, because I'll show you doing one of these things. Oh. So because of that, we wanted to make sure that you have all the information that you're going to need, and that's going to be pretty much your shield. Because without that information, you're running around lost, especially after an incident. A lot of people don't know where to go, and especially in the Asian community, especially the Chinese. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want help from the police department. They don't want even their own families to know. We had a young lady who we had an interview with, and she's the head of, or the founder of the United Peace
Collaborative.
Oh, right.
And her mom had gotten beat up 3 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 3 times, but she would never say anything to them.
Oh my God.
So the last time she got home, she had all these bruises, and they're like, "Oh, I just fell." And then finally the daughter said, "No, that's not what this is." And then she finally told her, So that's why without the information, without the knowledge, you're pretty much walking around blindly. So we created this class to give you an awareness. Again, if you look at this, helping elderly lives with prevention and awareness. And the prevention part is that knowledge that you're going to need. How do you stay away from would-be attackers or even situations that don't look right? How do you keep your mind always focused on what's in front of you rather than a cell phone? And you see this all the time, right?
All the time.
I actually watched a couple of YouTube videos where people are falling in water fountains and manholes. I mean, it sounds funny,
Yeah.
but it actually, you can go on there and there's a bunch of videos where people are just falling into all kinds of crazy things because they have their heads down.
Right. Wow.
So as funny as that sounds, it's a reality. So what we're trying to do here today is to keep your mind focused on what's in front of you and what is in the immediate area around you, right? One of the things that you have to be aware of is your personal space. And what is your personal space? Right? Nobody knows, right? They're like, well, is it this?
6 feet at least, right, nowadays?
Well, nowadays for that, right? But, your personal space can be as big and as small as you want it to be. Because
And culturally, it changes depending on where
Yeah.
you're from.
right? So you have to understand, what are you going to allow people to be around? So in our class, what we tend to do is we start our classes or the orientation by starting you at 25 feet from anything. So as you're walking in your day-to-day, at 25 feet, what do you see?
The boat.
Right? So you're walking down the street and you're nearing a 7-Eleven, let's say, and you're still 25 feet away. But at 7-Eleven door, you have a couple of guys drinking beers. That should already say, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't walk through that crowd. Maybe I can go across the street, even though it takes me a couple of minutes more to my, for my walk. But at least at that far, I can react. I can go away. I don't want to walk into the lion's mouth and have the problem that might occur. So again, being aware of your surroundings and understanding where you are even at that far, then you're already thinking, oh, that could be bad for me. Maybe I should take the longer way, or maybe call a friend, get an Uber. Somebody's going to bring me right door to door. Those are the things. One of the things that I've noticed in a lot of these attacks are most of these people being attacked are by themselves. Now, why is that? And I know in the Asian culture, it's a status to show that you can go on your own. Oh, look, wow, she's really healthy. She's really good.
Look how
She's
fast I walk.
Yeah, look how good she, right? And that's part of the culture that you show that, especially in the Japanese, right? I mean, in Japan, an elderly walking,
Everywhere.
you respect that. You say, oh, cool. She, look at her. She's doing things. She's mobile. But in this day and age, the way things are going on, it's not as good as it used to be. Now you're in more likelihood to be attacked because you are by yourself, and you become an easy target. And if you're a woman, even more so. And it's not to say that men aren't getting attacked, because we've seen in the news, guys, the one guy who's a veteran At 51 years old, they walked up on him and just cold cocked him and took his stuff and ran off. So it isn't limited just to women these days. You know, now people, if you're Asian, you become a victim automatically just because of the color of your skin or the slant of your eyes or whatever they want to say. You know, that's the bad thing. You hear all these different, stereotypes, and is it fair for you to have to change the way you are just to go outside and be afraid to go outside? That's not the way America's supposed to be. We know that. We're supposed to be free and be able to do. But because of the situation at hand, you have to make adjustments. And if you're not ready to make those adjustments, then you are always going to become a victim. So that's what this class is all about. How do you change your mindset to become more than what you used to be and be more attuned to everything around you? And a lot of people say, well, then that's just paranoia. Yes and no, right? Naeem's going to go ahead and talk about fear. And
Well, simple idea of fear is that it's part of your survival mechanism. It's found in all kinds of animals throughout the entire planet. We've all felt it at one point or another. And what it is, it's a learning process to understand what's going to harm you and what isn't. From way back in the early days of man, when they were cavemen, you see a shadow in between the trees. The caveman that automatically went for their weapon and got ready for something to happen was most likely going to survive, because whether that was just a boulder or a saber-toothed tiger ready to attack you, they were prepared. The one that ignored it and told themselves, oh, it's probably nothing, are the ones that died out. So this has already been ingrained in you, and your brains have developed already a sense of survival. The problem that we live in a world where a lot of things scare us that aren't necessarily deadly to us. Stress can be a big factor as to why our sense of survival is dulled, because it's constantly active. Oh, I gotta get this done. Oh, I gotta be here at this time. Oh, I gotta rush here. I gotta do this. I gotta pick up the kids. Oh, my grandchildren called. I wasn't there. I have a doctor's appointment. Whatever the case may be, we're constantly moving, and we're afraid to miss out on something or be late, or we miss something, or we completely forgot to do something for somebody else. But that sense of fear isn't going to keep you alive. It may keep you comfortable, but it's when you actually need it, that's when that sense of fear is really important. And it's not an idea to constantly be afraid of everything. And that's not what this is about. It's about the sense to recognize what is actually going to harm you. Just like Rick was talking about, being on the phone and missing a tweet or a text or a call isn't going to kill you. Taking your attention away from driving because you're answering a text message can possibly kill you. Or even when you're driving or walking and you don't notice there's a manhole, there's a ditch, somebody is coming up really fast off my side that I don't recognize, I don't know. It could turn out they're just a jogger. But how many times have we turned a corner, almost bumped into somebody, and we get that sense of fear all of a sudden, and we're like, oh, they're just jogging, or they just bumped into me, they were going somewhere else. And it's harmless. It's harmless. It happens to all of us. You can be distracted. But can we really afford to be so nowadays? Accepting that it is scary to go out on your own is the first step into acknowledging that maybe I need to change my habits. Does it mean you have to be scared everywhere you go? No. It just means that you know that something could possibly happen. Right now, it could start raining out of nowhere. We really don't know. And if you're constantly worrying about what could happen, you're not going to live a very comfortable life. But I think at this point, because you are here, you can accept people aren't very nice to other people all the time. And because of that, it's up to you to make that change. And that's all it is. It's just understanding how to keep yourself safe.
And one of the best ways to keep yourself safe, especially if you want to go somewhere and not let stuff interfere in your daily lives, is to bring a family member. I mean, I know a lot of us are busy.
Yes.
Oh, my kids don't have time for me. You hear that all the time. But because of the way the world has become, I actually curse some of those kids, because there's shame on you for letting your grandparents or your parents who are of age have to go out on their own because you don't want to take the time to make sure that they're safe. Shame on them. And if you have to, shame them. Tell them, hey, listen, I could especially with what's going on now. And I see a little bit of a change in that. You're starting to see the family members are going out together, make sure, have that buddy system like Naeem says, because that's what's going to keep everybody safe. We can't be everywhere all the time.
Nope.
But you can plan a schedule. Hey, on Monday I got a doctor's appointment. Can you take me? Hey, I need to go to the groceries. Can you go for me? There's so many things that we can now do, and the way technology is these days, you can just get on your phone, order something from Safeway, and have them take it to you. But if you really have to go outside and we really can't, because how many of us are hating being in the house because of COVID, right? We all want to go outside. But we have to be smart about it these days, because if we aren't, then we could become a victim as easily as anybody else. How many times I'm never going to become a victim, but yet you see a lot of problems going on in the world. You see the news almost every day, 5 or 6 different articles that come up, somebody got attacked. And again, I want everybody to understand, it really isn't just the Asians that are being attacked. We know of some stories where somebody who looked Asian but was Mexican getting attacked.
What if you have allergies and your eyes are poofy and you just happen to look smaller that day?
And again, does it really hurt you or take that much out of your time to just be prepared and say, okay, what do I need when I walk out this door? Can I call somebody to walk with me down the street? There's a lot of things. In Oakland, they have a group called
we forget the name.
Champion or something?
Champion, I think it is, yeah.
And what they do is there are 300 strong volunteers. You give them a call.
Right, they go
and they come with you. They'll go. You call them. They'll go to your door, drive you wherever you want to go, and they drive you back. How great is that? And these are all just volunteers. So there's a lot of things you can do. You don't have to feel like you're all alone, that you're stuck in your house. You can go out. You can still do things. Right. And I'll tell you this, because we do have 2 men here. Men are just susceptible to these attacks as anybody else, as I've mentioned earlier. So get off the macho horse. Even for us.
Jerry.
Because you may be healthy and you may think you can handle something, but again, a veteran of 51 years old was attacked and he couldn't do anything. Blindsided. Because that's the way these attacks are. We can get you prepared for all kinds of things, but until it actually happens, you're really not prepared.
True.
That's the reality, right? I could teach you all kinds of crazy things, odd techniques, whatever else.
And hopefully you practice them.
And then you need to practice them. But when push comes to shove, in that panic, at that moment, your heart's going crazy, cortisol is being released in your brain, you panic. And I'll prove a point, and I'm sure you guys can raise your hand if this happened to you. You're getting ready to go outside the house. You're going to go to your car. You're going to be late for an appointment. But you wanted to get a couple of things in the kitchen, so you do this. You make coffee or whatever it is. You grab everything, and you get out the door. You get to the car, and your keys are not there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, and you kind of panic. You go, God damn it. And how many times you look in your bag? You're like 4 or 5. Oh, it's got to be here. You look on the floor. You look at the car. You look inside the car. But then when you relax, you say, okay, where did I do that? And you relax and you breathe. Oh, wait, it's on the kitchen table when I was getting the coffee. And you walk in there it is, right? What just happened was there's a release of cortisol that went into your head, and that fight or flight panic that happens when you don't know where something is. And it could be like you dropped a letter or something that I just had it, where'd it go? That's the cortisol popping into your brain, messing you. And what it does, it kills everything that is not necessary for you to survive. It stops all the things that are in your heart that are not so necessary, and it focuses on either fight or flight. So if you can learn to breathe in a panic and relax and take it easy, you don't get that release of chemical, of cortisol, then you can think straight.
Yeah.
And then you can do something right and say, okay, this guy's coming up on me. I don't know who he is. That's okay. Relax. Okay. Let me pull out my phone. Make it look like, hey, Bob. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'll be there in a little while. I'll see you. Yeah, I'm only 5 minutes away. Oh, you're going to come here? Great. See what I just did? Now that person said I was able to relax, be cognizant. Even though I dialed nobody, I'm just talking to make that person understand, hey, I see you. And I'm doing, just that little thing, just that little thought right there changes everything. And this is what we're going to try to get to you guys, how to learn to do this and how to breathe. So Naeem's going to show you a nice little breathing technique.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Feel free to join if you'd like. What it is that you take one hand, you put it over your chest.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, stand up. That'll probably work better.
Okay.
You take your other hand, put it on your belly, right over your belly button. Now, I want you to breathe in as deep as you possibly can. All right? Which hand moved?
Oh, belly.
Ah, see? Some belly. Karen, yours was the top hand. Ah. You want the belly hand to move. You want to concentrate on expanding the diaphragm, which expands your stomach. The top hand shouldn't move at all. That's breathing through the chest. That's puffing the chest up a little bit. What you want to do is you want to expand the way that your lungs work. Your diaphragm pulls down and allows your lungs to fill with oxygen. When you don't let that happen completely, you don't get as much oxygen into your lungs in one breath, which happens. That's how people hyperventilate. They deep breath. The top hand should have moved, the bottom hand should be the only one moving. And relax and try to do it as smooth as possible. Deep.
See, Dave's got it. He's like,
There you
I
go.
see. He's like,
And you
it's
want
good.
this to go up and down. If it helps when you get home, try doing it laying down on your back. Because then you can really concentrate on making sure your tummy is the one moving up and down and your chest isn't at all. This allows you to get a deep breath into your lungs that's oxygenating your whole body, that's allowing your brain to fight some of that cortisol and reduce the amount of stress in it, so then your cognitive functions work better, so you can reason better. The fight or flight mechanism is meant for you to literally fight or run, which means you don't need to know how to do math at that point. So you literally will become dumber. It's funny to say, but you really do become dumber, and that's where the panic sits in, because nothing has happened yet, but your brain is already scrambling to figure out what to do. But if you can just, then you realize, oh, my keys are next to the coffee cup upstairs in the kitchen.
All right, so show of hands, how many people felt that helped actually just now, just sitting here, right? It's like, did you feel more relaxed all of a sudden? It's like,
Breathe.
this is something you can work on at home every day.
Small thing.
You know, while you're sitting there watching TV, Dave.
Why are you picking on Dave? Because he's so tall.
He's bigger than
the
I
biggest
am.
guy.
But yeah,
Big.
just do these little exercises because it will help you in the long run. Like when you're driving somewhere or you're sitting in the car as a passenger,
Have a few minutes.
do that. And I guarantee you'll be more clear in your head and you're not going to have those episodes of panic. And that's what creates the problems for a lot of people. Because when you're walking down
You
the
guys can
street,
sit down.
you guys can sit down.
Sorry.
When you're walking in the street, how often have you, like when somebody that you don't recognize or looks scary, a big guy, you have that weird feeling, you're like, oh my God, your body tenses up, your breathing gets a little shallow, and you're like, oh, right? And then when they pass by, you're like, oh, I did that for nothing.
What do you almost let go of your breath,
And
as
you
if you
relax,
were holding
right?
your breath the whole time.
But if you can do that all the time, even in those moments where really nothing is, and you know that because there's a lot of people around, but still you're that one person that just kind of, oh my God, you know.
It's harder now too because people wear masks.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why
Good.
you should just learn to relax.
Yeah.
Everyone looks like a robber.
Everybody does. Especially if you put your hoodie on, it's cold, you know. It's like, oh my God.
So now we want to talk about the idea that in those moments of panic, right, how do you determine what is and what isn't a threat? That's tough, right? It's like, how do I know this guy's not going to mug me? Or how do I know, oh, that guy's just walking by? We also do a rape prevention class for women and
And men.
And one of the things that we talk about is by changing the mindset of the person in front of you, it changes everything within them. So I'm gonna prove a point to you guys, all right? So Karen, can you stand up here? Just stand right here. Now Ian's gonna stand in front of you, and you guys are gonna take a couple of steps, and you're just gonna follow him, right? Hold on one second. You remember this, right? All right. So go ahead and take a walk and watch what happens, folks. Good, just follow him.
Hey, how you doing? see how quickly you started. And you visibly saw her reaction. She's startled and then even
Her
started
whole
walking
body
back.
kind of shook, like, oh, right?
That's
Go
okay,
ahead.
thank you.
But that simple thing if she was an attacker, an assailant, and Nain is walking, and the warrior, is this person gonna? And he goes, "Hi, can I help you?" It stopped her and dead her. She's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm going the other way." So we mindset in their mind. Oh shoot, they're on to me. They know. Oh, never mind. There's gonna be a problem. Just that simple thing. To see her reaction was priceless, but it is what happens because the mind. Because she was focused on just following him. Oh,
that was her goal.
No,
Right.
and he stopped.
Right.
Even though if he didn't go, "Hi, can I help you?" Just that little thing will change the mindset.
Because here's the two reactions that people have most of the time, and you could say this is a bit gender specific, but it goes both ways. People will do one of two things whenever they feel threatened. They will cover up, makes themselves look smaller. In other words, try to disappear so they're not seen. That actually makes you look weaker and easier target. For guys, or I guess most guys, we puff our chest out. We want to seem bigger. We want to seem more dominating. But that too can also make you a target because now if that person had no intentions of hurting you, but they just happen to be aggro people, now you're a threat. So now I'm more likely to say, "What's going on with you? Is there a problem?" And if that escalates, now we have friction. So those are the two major reactions that people have. However, what we're asking you to do is stay somewhere in the middle. Don't make yourself look small, but at the same time, don't puff up either. Just as comfortably as you're sitting right there, look at somebody else and say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Just a
Hello.
simple hello changes the
"Oh,
mindset.
excuse me, did you need to get by?"
Yeah.
These little simple gestures, while they're very polite, will put somebody whose mindset is solely to harm you or take something from you off that mindset completely. Just like her focus was on following me, the moment I broke that, she had no idea what to do. Her brain went into that fight or flight mentality and was like, I'm just gonna go walk this way.
That simple lesson right there is what we're trying to convey.
That's all.
How to change your attitude when you're out and about. Even if you're with your friends, even if you're with your family. Keeping that kind of an attitude, just understanding that you don't need to be so freaked out about every little thing. That becomes like a hypochondriac, right? Oh my God, I don't know.
There's paranoia.
That's paranoia, right? But if you can relax and say, okay, until something actually happens,
It's not
you're
a
really,
threat.
there's nothing. But that's the thing, because you hear all these bad things in the news, your mind already switches, oh, something bad's going to happen. But we need to get off of that. We need to say, okay, oh, he's just walking by, So if we could change that about you, then we kind of done something better for you already, right? And I can see the smiles on your face and kind of like,
Yeah.
you understand what we're saying.
Yeah.
It isn't about being scared. It's about understanding yourself and understanding, oh, okay, I can be functional and be outside and do the things that I want to do. It's better if I had somebody with me, but if not, I got to look at things a little differently. I can't be scared of every little shadow
Right.
that comes by, because until something happens.